Welcome back to my YouTube channel. As you can see, I have returned to California for another stint on Brian's layout. This time round, the hope is to get the layout completely done. It's a bit of a tall order. I have 2 weeks. One of the guys is going to stay behind after I fly out if necessary for a few more days. Let's take a look around the layout and see what still needs to be done. There's this town area that was started after I left last time. I'm not working on that. I've got to get the mine area finished. There's a whole load of structures that I worked on at home that are going in here. And another one over there. I have another box of trees with me to fill in this area. And then my other task is going to be to complete the scenery in this area, which was started in my absence. And I really don't know what I'm going to do here. They're not going to allow me to tear it out and start again. And there are some problems. I'll just have to make the best of it. So now that I have an overview of what still needs to be done, it's time to get busy. I'll check in with you again later. Well, it's the morning of day 2. It's Friday morning. Yesterday I was actually surprisingly productive, considering I got off to a slow start. I know it's only a small area, but the rock work is done, the wash is on. I got 7 of the 8 buildings situated. The building at the back of the terrace is glued in place. I've still got to do the ground cover around the front edge. But this morning my goal is to get this area finished. I'm going to start by dry brushing the rocks. Then I'm going to get all the ground cover in, get the stream bed in. Put the buildings in their final resting places. I'm going to get some tree stumps, because obviously in the area around the mine they would have used all the timber already, so there won't be any standing trees, except maybe some small ones which have grown up in the last few years and which are too small to be worth bothering with. And then I have another 100 of my trees to plant around the back edge. I'm not sure how long it's going to take to assemble the incline for the mine tram. That might be the major project for the day. Well, on the morning of day 2, I got all the dry brushing done in this new area. Got all the ground cover in around these houses. I got foundations for 7 of my 8 structures installed. I also dry brushed the talus in the stream bed. It looks a lot better now. It was too dark before. I've got to come back and do the same along the other drainage ditch. Most of yesterday I spent working on another area while the glue dried. As you can see from the mess in this area, I started another project over here. This is going to be a real challenge, because not only is the track arrangement so diabolical as to make any semblance of reality a virtual impossibility, but also after I left last time the other guys started working on the scenery in this area, and I've been told I have to blend in with what's already there. I'm not allowed to tear it out and start again. This mountain here really doesn't go well against the edge of the tracks. It's supposed to be a backwoods logging area. I'm going to have to build some kind of retaining wall up here, which would probably have cost in excess of the value of the timber in the area. Also, his tunnels he put in, one of them fell out completely because it wasn't glued in right, and the other one's leaning forward, so I'm going to have to take that out. Had to fix the fascia as well. It was bowed out. The 2 bits didn't come together very well, so I guess it's a good thing that the other tunnel fell out. I'm not going to be able to put tunnel liners in there because this mountain is permanently installed. I did cut an access hatch in the top. You can probably see the lines because I haven't filled them in yet. I haven't landscaped over them. But it was basically impossible to reach the last 2 feet of that tunnel, so I cut that area. This is also a hatch. And I don't like the shape of this hill. I'm going to cut away as much as I can while still leaving enough to make the tunnels look as though they're supposed to be there. I cut a stream bed into the front of the layout just meanders all its way all the way along. The original plan was to have it go under the track and to the backdrop, but that would have meant 5 bridges. There's 4 main lines and a logging road that have to go across it, so I didn't want to build 5 more bridges at this stage. Even though this front track was ballasted, I managed to realign it slightly. I had to cut through the ballast every 2 or 3 inches with the multi-tool so I could break it. There's hairline cracks which just don't show. I moved it back about 1.5 inches. It used to be straight along there. It now bows in slightly. And as a side advantage, there are now easements on the 2 curves at the end of it. I would like to have moved it about twice as far, but there's a limit to what I can do with track that's already laid and ballasted. It's Sunday morning, so 3 days have passed. I did a little bit of work in this area yesterday. I got all the buildings permanently installed. Well, I say permanently installed, I got them properly installed. They will always be removable. You see all the porch legs are cut off so that they just touch the finished landscape, and yet the structure comes off, leaving the foundation in place. I removed these 4 so that I can reach over and build the tram trestle behind it. I didn't want to risk breaking them. Most of yesterday I spent on this area. As I said yesterday, I have to blend in with what had gone before me. I wasn't allowed to modify this, so I extended the same basic shapes. Had to make it tall enough to justify the tunnels, and I had to get the logging road all the way up the side of the mountain to the top there. I got some retaining walls in along the front of the river. That is all ready for plaster. I can do that anytime I like. I am still waiting on the backdrop. James has promised me that he will get that installed first thing this morning. Here's a little tip I would like to share with you for making tree stumps for a logged out area. I started off by picking up twigs from outside, and then on the bandsaw I cut 2 little curves, one from each side. If I turn it, you can just see them, that don't quite line up. And then to separate them, just stick a chisel in one of the curves and twist it, and there's 2 stumps. It takes only a few minutes to get a couple hundred stumps to plant on a layout. Well, another day has passed. It's Tuesday, and I got most of the rock carving done in this area. There's going to be a fair amount of space that's not carved. Most of the top is going to be dirt hills, so I can put trees on them, or in most cases stumps, because it will have been logged out. The river is going to be mostly a sandy bottom, and I'll do that with sculptor mould once I've got the rocks painted. I ran out of plaster yesterday. James is getting a couple more bags today, and that'll be enough. There's a few areas around this front edge that will be carved, and over the tunnel. My predecessor glued this casting on there. I don't like it, but if I take it off and redo it, I'll be making waves unnecessarily. So it stays. I'll just blend in around the edges. I tried the technique which James wanted me to experiment with along the back here, because this is quite a big removable access hatch. I didn't want a huge amount of plaster on it. So instead of preparing it for conventional rock carving, I just carved the foam with the multi-tool and then painted runny plaster on it. Well, it's Tuesday evening. All the plaster work in this section is complete. Everybody else has gone home for the day, and I am now going to get some colour on it. So when they come back in the morning, it will look very different. And actually this is the last area of the layout, so I've put the plaster carving tools away and I probably won't be getting them out again, at least not on this project anyway. Well, good morning. It's Wednesday. I think that makes it day 7. Yesterday I finished all the plaster work in this area. I got the colouring on it. I did a couple of other little jobs as well. I relaid this one spur in here. It needed adjustment slightly and the ballast was the wrong colour anyway. Yesterday I finished painting the rocks and I got all the dirt areas filled in and the ground cover glued down. So the scene is starting to look a lot more finished now. I've still got strips of black plastic around the edge of the access hatches. I didn't want the scenic cement to glue them firmly in place. Anyway, 7 days have now gone and I am at the halfway point. I have 7 days left. This whole area is probably way too wet to work on today. In fact, I see patches in the river that still have visible glue. So I'm not even going to try to touch this today. Instead, I'm going to go back and do some detailing in the mine area. I still have all the cross bracing to put on the trestle. I've got some ground cover and ballast to touch up. And then I have a lot of trees to plant around the remainder of the area. Well, it's Saturday morning. I spent most of yesterday working in the mine area again while the logging area dried. Most noticeable is about another 150 trees planted around the edge. Of course, that's less than half of what I needed. I still have to come all the way along the front here, all the way down to here. I put a fair number of details in the mine area. There's the dump train here, some workers back there. I got the cross bracing on the trestle, touched up the ballast in the area. There's a few people in and around the houses. There's one there. Someone away from the general store. Around the back I've got some women sweeping the deck. And there's these 3 here. Well, either they're planting a vegetable garden or one of them had a fight with her husband last night and they're burying the body. I still have to put the walkway in, leading from the houses across the tracks and then up the stairs so they can get to work. Because at the moment the path doesn't go anywhere. I also fixed the track in this bridge area. With expansion, the track had buckled up. This is now properly glued down. I cut a short section out here. And then also last night before I went to bed I did the ballast in this area. Well, most of the ballasting had already been done, unfortunately. If you look at the branch line with the caramel ballast on it, to me that looks like crap. But it's the best I could do because the ballast was already there and I just had to touch it up. The black ballast looks a lot better, I think. Most of that have flaked away, so I was able to put a higher proportion of it on top of the ground cover where it needs to be instead of underneath it. So there's 3 distinctly different colours of ballast in this one area. Today I have to finish the grade crossings, get those to work. There's 4 of them in this area. Do some detailing, put several hundred stumps in, and then some trees, because it is after all a logging area. Oh wait, trees, I don't have any left. What else can I show you? Oh yeah, here's the access hatch to give access to a switch machine, which had to be on top of the benchwork instead of underneath it. Well, another day has passed. Yesterday I didn't get a lot of visible work done because I was tinkering with the track, doing a lot of cleaning and adjustments to get things to run properly. I painted the lake bed here, so that's now ready for water, although I won't pour the water until this evening when everyone else has gone home. I put a walkway in so that the miners can get from the residence to work. Well, yesterday I worked in a lot of different areas. Probably most noticeable is the logged out area. I've planted several hundred stumps. I've also done the first pour of water in 3 different areas. The stream along here, got the first layer in there. I've done this lake in the mining area, and also the first pour in this mountain stream. I did all that last night. I need to come back and add extra layers and rapids in here as well. I've got some angel hair that I'm going to use to get the frothiness over the rapids. I planted the vineyard. I also fixed a few little bits and pieces in various places. Well, I had some good news yesterday. I found another box of trees. So I was able to complete the planting in this area. I think it looks a whole lot better now. Not so one-sided. I've only got a couple of days work left and I need to get on with a whole lot of stuff. So I'm going to cut this broadcast short. I think it's Tuesday. Yesterday was another general fix-it day, although I found some more trees, so I did the logging area. There's probably about 150 trees up there and a load more in this area. I think we've still got a few missing, and I need to put in some more stumps. The logging camp buildings should be done today, so I can do this area later on. Brian was here yesterday. He loved everything. The lift flap got broken. If we see here, the rails caught and ripped themselves off. So I'm going to have to tear up this track, replace it. I'm just going to cut a few inches off the end and put a short piece in. I'm not going to take the track off the whole bridge. I'm going to do that first so I can get that out of the way. And then we have some electrical problems to sort out in this area, and that will be the main task for the day. So I doubt if I will show you anything tomorrow, there's not going to be anything to see. But I will check in with you again at least one more time before I leave. Well, I said I would check in with you one more time before I leave. It's now almost midnight on the last day of the build. It was a hectic day, final sprint to the finish, but we're leaving the layout presentable. The owner can add details ad infinitum until the end of time. But we've done everything we've said we were going to do, and the customer's really happy. I spent most of this evening running trains. It's running flawlessly. So before I sign off, I'm just going to give you a quick panoramic view of the completed layout. I hope you enjoy it. This is the view entering from the top of the stairs. We start off with the trestle scene, which I didn't have a lot to do with. And then we run into a lot of mountain scenery, some bridges, trestles, well, steel trestle, lots of forested area. This is a simplified rendition of the owner's home and vineyard, and we found some beekeepers for him to install because he does keep his own bees. Here's the completed mining peninsula. I didn't run any trains in here this evening because I ran out of time. My flight leaves in a few hours and I need to get some sleep. Heading around the back of this peninsula now. Here's the yard area. Brian is just running whatever trains he wants to, whatever region, whatever period. One of the guys that worked on it dubbed it an eclectic mess, but that's what the owner wanted. And now we're heading into the areas that I finished on the first trip. So you've probably seen those before. Another peninsula here, another town. Back to the log pond. Heading into the higher elevations where we have the logging camp. And then if I pan the camera just a little bit further, we can see that the logging area backs onto the entry aisle. So here I am, leaving the room for the last time.